Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us. On the programme this evening.
Idolised by his adoring fans, but behind closed doors, former Man United star Ryan Giggs is accused of a litany of abuse against his ex-partner as his trial gets underway.
He was killed fighting shoulder to shoulder alongside Ukrainian forces. Today, a guard of honour for Jordan Gatley laid to rest in his hometown of Nantwich.
Stop lying and start recruiting. Tough talk from the train drivers' union as Avanti West Coast cuts rail services, blaming unofficial strike action.
How young Jack is following in famous footsteps. All smiles as he stars in a new musical about the Osmonds.
And if you like it hot, you have a fab 4 days ahead. If you don't like it so warm, think of some ways to keep cool. The forecast is coming up.
Well, first tonight, the former Manchester United player Ryan Giggs has gone on trial accused of abusing his ex-partner.
The court heard that Giggs, who was idolised in public, had an ugly and sinister side, subjecting his then-girlfriend, Kate Greville, to, I quote, a litany of physical and psychological abuse, and there were claims that he had deliberately headbutted her.
Our correspondent, Elaine Wilcox, has been in court for us today. Elaine.
Well, the prosecution described Ryan Giggs' relationship with his former girlfriend as toxic and said this was a story of control and coercion. Such is the interest in this case that the former Man United star was surrounded by around 30 press photographers and TV cameras when he arrived in court. In opening the prosecution's case, Peter Wright QC said Ryan Giggs' skills on the pitch were abundant and a thing of beauty, but his private life was a litany of abuse, both physical and psychological, of a woman he professed to love. They said he preyed on her vulnerabilities for his own gratification. The court heard the former Wales manager was idolised by the fans but had a sinister and uglier side to his character. Now, it was on the 1st of November 2020 when his then girlfriend Kate Greville had decided finally she was planning to leave him. They'd rowed in the kitchen of his home in Worsley and there was a scuffle, and at that point she said he deliberately head-butted her in the face, beating her sister when she tried to defend her.
But Elaine, a very different picture being painted by the defence.
Yes, that's right, Lucy. The defence said that account was a distortion, exaggeration and lies. Ryan Giggs admits there was minor accidental contact, but he says he would never use unlawful violence and that would simply have crossed the line. The defence said Kate Greville had told her friends that she wasn't prepared to walk away from this relationship with nothing financially, and they claim she planned this attack. Now, the court heard the couple had squabbled like children and that Ryan Giggs was ashamed of some of his ill-tempered text messages that the court will hear about. Now, she claims he threatened to send explicit images of her to her boss, saying that if she didn't do exactly what he wanted, that's what he would do. Now, she's expected to give evidence tomorrow, and Ryan Giggs denies all the charges, and the case is expected to last at least 2 weeks.
OK, Elaine in Manchester, thank you.
Well, next tonight, the funeral of a soldier from Cheshire who died trying to save lives in Ukraine has taken place in his hometown of Nantwich today.
Yeah, Jordan Gatley was described as a true hero by friends and family. He was shot covering his squad's escape from Russian troops in June.
Jordan was just 25 and hundreds gathered to say goodbye, as Victoria Grimes reports.
As Jordan Gatley's coffin was carried into St Mary's Church, those gathered outside fell silent. A guard of honour made up of friends and veterans ready to receive him. Inside the church, tributes from Jordan's father, Dean Gatley, who said his son died a hero.
I asked him my daughters to go, And he simply answered by saying, "I've been training to be a soldier for 6 years. Now these people need our help. Why would I not want to go?"
Jordan Gatley left the British Army in March this year and volunteered to fight alongside Ukrainian forces. In June, he was shot dead in the eastern city of Severodonetsk. He died whilst covering his squad's escape from Russian troops.
He died doing the job he loved, with the team he loved, defending people that he clearly bonded with in a country that needed his help.
It took 6 weeks for his body to be repatriated, and today family, friends and colleagues gathered to say their final goodbyes. Amongst them, members of the British Legion who formed the Guard of Honour.
Young soldier, obviously well qualified, but has passed away in a foreign land, and I think it's just important that the people of Nantwich, and more specifically the Nantwich and District Branch of the Royal British Legion, actually honour his passing.
It was obviously Jordan's choice, and we fully understand why he would do that, but sadly it took his life. It could be a D-Day veteran we're attending their funeral, or a young veteran like this. It's always sad, it's always tragic, but we'll always be there to support.
Jordan's life may have been short, but today his loved ones remembered all that he achieved and how he made the ultimate sacrifice to help those in desperate need. Victoria Grimes, ITV News, Nantwich.
Well, next, and a football fan accused of racially abusing former Manchester United captain Rio Ferdinand during a Premier League match has gone on trial.
Jamie Arnold is said to have aimed the abuse at Ferdinand when Wolves played Manchester United. So let's cross live now to Wolverhampton Crown Court, where Ellie Pitt has been listening to today's evidence for us. Ellie.
The court heard today that it was on the 23rd of May last year that Wolverhampton fans were allowed back into the Molineux Stadium for the first time since the end of the COVID pandemic for their match against Manchester United. This afternoon, Rio Ferdinand told the court that the mood on that day was one of excitement, and that because of his connection to Man U, obviously where he played for most of his career, there was a bit of banter between him and the Wolves fans. But he told the jury there was a group of supporters who were a bit more serious with it, more aggressive, and that this was more directed at me, he said. The prosecution claimed that the defendant, Jamie Arnold, used unpleasant hand gestures that were clearly trying to imitate and mimic a monkey, which was intended to be offensive and racist. Mr. Ferdinand told the court that he didn't see Mr. Arnold make the gesture or hear him say anything during the match, but there was a video played to court that the prosecution claim show Mr. Arnold doing this action. Mr. Arnold denies the charge of racially aggravated harassment using threatening or abusive behaviour, and the trial continues.
OK, Ellie, thanks for the update.
Well, next up, more misery for rail passengers with the train operator Avanti West Coast cutting timetables. They'll be running just one service an hour between London and Manchester. That's down from the usual 3.
Yeah, they say it's due to unofficial strike action by drivers, but the union ASLEF is hitting back at that claim, saying they need to stop lying and start recruiting.
Yeah, they're strong words. Our reporter Tim Scott joins us now. Tim, more disruptions for rail passengers on the way.
Yes, indeed, Lucy. As if the previous strikes by the RMT union hadn't hit passengers hard already, well, now it's the turn of ASLEF, the train drivers' union, to call industrial action for this Saturday. In the northwest, Avanti West Coast, who run trains from Manchester to London, they'll be hit really hard. They're asking passengers not to travel at all on Saturday when the strike happens, but that's just the start of it, because from September they'll start running a from Sunday they'll start running a reduced timetable into September. Now, Avanti normally run around 3 trains per hour from Manchester to London, but from Sunday that's going to be reduced to just 1. Now, passengers are being asked to check their website for details, as ticket sales will also be reduced. The company say they're having to do this because of increased sickness levels and what they call unofficial strike action by ASLEF members.
So that's what the company's saying. What about the union?
Well, in a statement, a spokesperson for ASLEV told us today the truth is the company does not employ enough drivers to deliver the services as promised passengers that it will run. The company should stop lying, as you've said, and start recruiting. And a further statement on their website says that many of their members haven't had a pay rise for 2 years, and with inflation running at around 10%, that means they've had to suffer a real-term pay cut. It's the same line we've heard from the RMT union when they went on strike, and we're left with a dispute where both staff and employers are entrenched in their positions, and that of course means more misery for passengers in the weeks to come.
Yeah, we're watching developments there, Tim, thanks.
Well, next, the Macclesfield doctor who arrived here from Uganda 50 years ago. He had just £50 in his pocket.
He was one of 80,000 Ugandan Asians forced to seek refuge when the dictator Idi Amin ordered them to leave their homes. Many had to leave behind good businesses, plus their families and relationships that stretch back generations.
Well, in the latest in our series to mark South Asian Heritage Month, Akbar Vora brings us his family story.
I'm Akbar Vora. I was born in 1960 in Uganda, in Kampala, and I was one of the Ugandan Asians that was expelled by Idi Amin in 1972. This is a picture of me. Bit embarrassing because I'm I'm smiling away in what looks like a dress to me, so I'm the youngest one there with my older brother and sister. All my memories of Uganda were very happy until as a whole group, we were told you need to leave because you're pariahs and bleeding the system.
I want to see that the whole Kampala street is not full of Indians.
Violence wasn't unusual, and I did used to go and see people killed or being killed, so I do have memories of going to see one man being stoned to death. I'm not sure how that's affected me. Clearly for my parents it was a big jolt to have lost everything. All your monies are frozen. You're taking a suitcase and 50 quid and starting a new life. When I got to the airport, we also knew that we would all be checked. Some people tried to hide the jewellery in children's teddy bears or whatever, and I was stripped searched when I was there, 12 years old, on my own. The only thing I could show, and he asked me, have you got any valuables on you? And the only thing I could show him was a magnet and a blue marble. That was my jewels, really. I think we whooped when the plane took off. And then we landed at Stansted Airport. I was in shorts and a light shirt. And it was evening, doors open, and I was freezing. My knees were shaking and knocking, and I was so cold. I'd never been so cold. I can remember getting a really big, it was slightly oversized blue duffel coat and putting that on and thinking, God, this will keep me nice and warm. Grateful was the one word that I would use for everything that was done for me, my family, when we arrived here in the end of September 72 and subsequently. I've loved my work, and you have to stop sometime. One of the things I feel I've filled and are overflowing my clinical work, looking after patients. I've probably anaesthetised more than 15,000 patients and looked after even more on intensive care. I've had mothers running up to me in Manchester Airport and saying, "Oh, you're Dr. Akbar. Yes, you looked after him when he was on neonatal intensive care, and look at him now." So all pleasant memories of my life at Manchester Royal.
And of course, we're grateful for all the work that you've done as well. Many thanks to Akbar for sharing his story with us tonight. Well, there's lots more to come on the programme.
We catch up with 11-year-old Jack playing a young Osmond brother in the new stage show about the famous family.
And as temperatures hot up by day over the next few, expect some uncomfortable nights for sleeping. I'll be back shortly with a full forecast.
And we are still searching for someone to represent our region at the Daily Mirror Pride of Britain Awards.
Yeah, listen up, this is the glitzy awards night where the stars of the people who have done extraordinary things, and it's where this year's national fundraiser of the year will be revealed.
If you'd like to nominate someone, head to our website, itv.com/Pride of Britain. You can only nominate individuals and they must be 18 or over. The closing date is Friday the 12th of August and full terms and conditions can be found on our website. OK, here's what's still to come on the ITV News at 6:30 with Charlene.
Coming up, a child dies in an explosion at a house in South London. 3 others have been left with life-threatening injuries. We'll have the latest. Britain braces for another heat wave. As temperatures go up again, so too do fears of a drought. Britney's ex-husband, Kevin Federline, tells us her father and that conservatorship saved her life. And the real farmers of TikTok, while the new generation have turned to social media. Join us for those stories and much more from 6:30.
Love that story about the farm, the little piggy. Stay with ITV for that. Well, now, you're going to love this too. Let's take you back in time to the days of the Osmonds and their unforgettable hits like Crazy Horses and Love Me for a Reason. Well, I haven't forgotten them anyway. They sold 100 million records.
Yeah, an incredible figure. Thanks for that bit of information, Lucy. The story of the 5 Osmond brothers from Utah is being told in a new musical starring 11-year-old Jack Sherrin from Manchester in his professional debut.
Now, you might think Jack is young to be taking centre stage, but so are the Osmonds. As some of us will remember, Jimmy Osmond was only 9 when he had his #1 hit with Long-Haired Lover from Liverpool.
Look what they achieved.
Absolutely. Our entertainment correspondent Caroline Whitmore sat down with Jack and Jay Osmond earlier to hear all about this new musical.
It's about a band of brothers who had each other's backs.
Yay, the Osmonds, a new musical. This is your baby, isn't it? Your concept. Your wife even said it's your heart.
It is my heart, and you know, when I was asked to put my life on as in a living memoir and on stage, it took me 5 years to write this. I take people on a journey, basically, you know, from when we were kids to when up to the 50th anniversary, and I want people to know the real Osmonds.
And they called it puppy love.
All had hit after hit after hit after, you know, across so many decades. So we know the music's going to be good in this new musical.
Crazy horses moving, never halt.
Well, you know, there's about 30 songs in it, and people wanted to know what is behind the music. I was right in the middle. I saw everything, you know. How do you do 60 years and all those songs and all those stories in 2 hours? So that was the hard part.
Watching you watch the lads sing Love Me For A Reason, does it bring back memories of you and your brothers on stage?
Oh, I've had so many flashbacks, and I relive my life every time I see it. You know, Donnie wants to come over and see it, and been told that how come they're not all involved? Well, you can't take 9 versions, so that's why they're not involved in it, because you can't.
Jack Sherrin from Manchester, we need to remember your name. This is your professional debut, isn't it?
Yes, I'm honoured to be playing young Meryl in this amazing production.
Tell me how many auditions you had to do to get this part.
So, here's a story. My first, I was at a wedding, and then I got a call saying, oh, you need to audition for this part. And I'm like, oh, okay. Logged onto Zoom and did the audition, learnt the song.
While you were at the wedding?
Yeah, in between speeches and stuff.
Tell me about why you and Meryl have similarities.
When I was 3, I had speech therapy. I couldn't talk. Meryl has a stutter in the show, so there you go.
And you're from Manchester. You're performing at the Manchester Palace Theatre. This is like a homecoming for you.
I've seen various shows here. I'm actually going to be performing in Manchester Palace Theatre. I can't believe it.
He's had some challenges like Meryl, like with his speech, and he's portraying Meryl exactly how he was.
Ryan, you play Meryl. Jack, you play young Meryl. How is he doing?
Well, I think he is doing absolutely amazingly. His voice is so great and just a brilliant performer.
Anyone got any advice for him?
Smarter 10?
Yeah. Remember, there's ups and downs.
Yeah.
Just always do what's right, let the consequences follow, okay? You've got the talent and the great parents that you have. You do a great job in the show.
Thank you.
You bet.
No.
Proud of you.
Very good.
Love that.
Yeah, that is on the Manchester's Palace Theatre from tomorrow and at the Liverpool Empire next month.
Now the weather with Joe.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. The northwest of England and the Isle of Man will be seeing a heat wave this week. Temperatures in excess of 25 Celsius from tomorrow for 3 or 4 days. It's going to feel hot both by day and night with dry conditions. Quite uncomfortable for sleeping, I would have thought, as we go through the next few. Very warm air feeding up from the south, and of course the south of the UK will see the highest temperatures again, going above 30 degrees over the next few days or so. For us in the northwest, however, very, very warm conditions, perhaps something to be aware of over the next few days and nights, and as well as that, high UV levels to boot. In the meantime, this evening, a lovely end to the day for many of us, feeling warm, some sunshine around, a gentle breeze, and 1 or 2 shallow mist patches will develop over the course of tonight. It stays dry and rural spots could dip to around 9 or 10 degrees, but after tonight, quite a warm feel to the night, staying at around 15 or 16 Celsius for many built-up areas from tomorrow onwards. On to tomorrow, and the sun will be up at 5:38, setting at 8:53 tomorrow evening. Not a bad start at all. Any shallow mist patches will lift very promptly tomorrow. There's a gentle breeze to be had. It'll be a dry day with lots of sunshine around into the afternoon. Temperature-wise tomorrow, in excess of 23, 24 Celsius for the likes of Manchester and down Cheshire Way. A little cooler perhaps in a sea breeze at the coast if you don't like it so hot over the next few days. Both the North Sea coast and Irish Sea coast will do you some favours. As we look through the next few days, it's virtually unbroken sunshine on the charts. 27, 28 and then 29 on Friday. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thanks, Joe. Susan Holder's been in touch to say, I remember seeing Donny Osmond on the news wearing his cap in 1973. I was 8 and instantly smitten. #puppy love.
Yeah, I don't think you're the only one there, Susan. Ian Doran said, I think they were popular because of their clean-cut image. My favourite songs were Crazy Horses and We're Having a Party. Great tunes.
Good choice.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Crazy.